Chapter 12. At the Church of St. Ninian's, Clooney sat in the wreckage of what had once been a pulpit. Red-toothed, dark-clawed cheese thief and Fangburn lounged at his feet in an old burst of hassocks. Clooney was in one of his strange moods again. He showed little interest in the captive Vole family, merely ordering that they be kept under guard until he found time to deal with them. Most of his army slept in the choir loft or in the ladies' chapel. The rest were posted on sentry duty outside. Cautiously, his captain watched the warlord. Clooney's long tail swished restlessly. The single eye glared at the carved eagle holding the rotted lectern on its outspread wings. What thoughts occupied the dark, devious mind of Clooney the Scourge? Finally, he looked up and spoke. "Go and get Shadow. Bring him here to me." Darkclaw and Fangburn scurried off to obey the command. Silently, the others waited, their eyes glinting in evil anticipation. The chief had a plan. Like all of his schemes, it would be cunningly simple and brilliantly wicked. There would be no better general than Clooney when it came to strategy. Shadow had been with Clooney for many years. Nobody was sure if he was rat or weasel, or even a bit of both. He was very lithe and wiry, and his long, sinewy body was covered with sleek black fur. There was no hint of another color in his coat. It was blacker than a moonless night. His eyes were strangely slanted, black without any brightness in them. The eyes of Shadow were more like those of a dead thing. He stood before Clooney, who had to strain his one eye against the darkness of the church to make sure he was really there. "Shadow, is that you?" The reply sounded like a whisper of wet silk across the smooth plate. "Clooney, I am here. Why do you want Shadow?" The captain shriveled at the sound of the voice. Clooney leaned forwards. "Did you see the walls of the Abbey today?" "I was there. Shadow sees all." "Tell me the truth. Could you climb them?" "No beast I know could climb those walls." "Except you?" "Except me." Clooney gestured with his tail. "Come closer, then. I will tell you what must be done." Shadow sat on the top pulpit step. Clooney issued orders. "You will climb the Abbey wall. Many sentries patrol the top of the wall. Take the utmost care. If you get captured, you are of no use to me. There is a point in one alone trying to attack the gatehouse and open the door. It is too well guarded, so forget the gate." Shadow gave no hint that Clooney was inadvertently read his mind. He remained motionless as Clooney continued. "Once you have scaled the wall, make for the main Abbey door. Should it be locked for the night, you will use all your skill to open it without any noise. It is vital that you get inside. The first room you will find yourself in is the main one. The mice call it the Great Hall. Walk in, turn around, and on the left wall facing you is a long tapestry covered in pictures and designs. Now listen carefully. At the bottom right-hand corner of the tapestry is a picture of a mouse dressed in armor, leaning on a big sword. I want it. Cut it, rip it, or tear it out. But get it for me. I must have it. Don't come back without it, Shadow." Puzzlement was written on the faces of the four captains who had overheard the orders. A picture of a mouse? Clooney had never been known as a collector of pictures. Fangburn whispered to Chief Leaf. "What use is a picture of a mouse for?" to the chief. Clooney heard. He came to the edge of the pulpit. Grasping the sides of the lectern, he surveyed the small congregation like some santic minister. "Aye, brother Fangburn, let me explain. I will tell you why it is that you and all your kind will forever remain servants, while I shall always be the master. Do you not see the faces of those mice today? When they mention that Martin the warrior stands them into estancias, don't you see he's their symbol? He means the same to most mice as mine does to the horde, in a different way maybe. Martin is some sort of angel, and I'm the opposite. Think for a moment. If anything were to happen to me, you'd all be a leaderless ramble, a headless mob. So if the mice were to lose their most precious omen, the picture of Martin the warrior, where would what would that leave them?" Ventus slapped his haunches. He rocked to and fro, sniggering with uncontrollable glee. "Brilliant, Chief. Diabolical. They'd just be a crowd of terrified little mice without their wonderful little Martin." Clooney's tail banged down on the rotten lectern, smashing it into several fragments. And that's when we strike. The powerful tail sloshed backwards, wrapping itself around Shadow's body. He was dragged forwards, face to face with his master. Clooney's racist breath blasted into Shadow's face as he ground out each syllable. Bring me that picture back here. Do this, and your reward will be great when I sit in the abbot's chair of Redwall Abbey. But family and your screams will be heard far beyond the woodlands and meadow. Clooney's scourge has spoken.